Once more, Nick Tenkani. Tenkoni. Okay, guys, so we're moving on. We're going to pick a next speaker. Very close friend of mine, like a brother. I've campaigned with him for many years. I understand where he's been. I understand where he's going, and I wanted to know you're not on your own. I'd like him to come and speak in front. Please give a really warm welcome to my good friend Alan Merritt.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, mate. Cheers. What can I say, guys? What can I say? You listen to Billy and you listen to Raj and you listen to everything they say. Everything they say is gospel. Everything they say is true. Our politicians are the monsters. Westminster is not Westminster, it's Westmonster. It is a horrific paedophile palace. I camped in London and I know about all the haunts of London. Our police, I went to the police as a young child being sexually, physically and mentally tortured. The police took me back in a Black Mariah to the superintendent who bounced me off his knee in a perverse sexual way. I was tortured in childcare. I'm going to hold up a picture of my sister, one of 4, myself included, abused in state so-called welfare. This picture I'm holding up now is called Marjorie Merritt. Look at her eyes. Look at her in that poor girl. Who would violate this child? Look at this child. Look at it. People, look at this girl. Look her in the eyes. How dare you violate children? How dare you put carbolic soap in my mouth? Use floor scrubbing brushes on me, taking the skin off my back, rubbing acid, rubbing bleach, rubbing vim in our bath water, making us make cold baths, waterboarding, torturing us. This is what they did to children. We are such 150,000 indecent images are seen on electronic devices in the Palace of Westminster. Our politicians are the worst perpetrators. 85% of our politicians are criminals. 85% of them. 1 in 5 children, either a girl or 1 in 7 with a boy, are abused every single day. 400 million children worldwide. When are we going to put a stop to it? When are the courts going to do their job? When are the police going to do their job? They're not fit for purpose. They're a bunch of lies, and they are only interested in their job they are paid for. They're all crooks, they're all criminals, and they're all complicit. They're complicit with the courts, they're complicit with a lot of them. The whole thing stinks of corruption, and they are allowed this to go on. I've been campaigning for 60 years. For 60 years over. 25 years of my first part of my life, London was my Beirut. I was sleeping in park benches. I was going to soup kitchens. London was my Beirut. It was a horrific lifestyle to sleep on, sofa surfing, and areas very, very poor in London. But we suffered. Well, where's our help? I've got the police coming back to me in my 60s and saying, Mr. Merritt, somebody's come into a police station and said they were abused in Beach Home, right? And your name's been mentioned. So what are you going to do to a man in his 60s, right? You're going to make him sit there. You're going to make him relive the story of his historic child abuse, of torture, psychological, physical, mental abuse, and then expect him to live through it all again in his 60s. You think, morally, ethically, it's right, our whole country. Billy talks about the politicians of this country. I can name a few as well, and Billy named quite a few of them. And also, when you're talking about politicians like Lord Still, he went on to be a member in the House of Lords till he was 81, claiming his enhanced pension at 81 years of old. When he retired, he said, I knew all about Cyril Smith. The corruption is beyond anything normal. Thank you very much for letting me speak, ladies and gentlemen. I could tell you so much more. I could speak for a lot longer. But everything these guys have told you is absolutely true. I am a witness. I'm one of 4 children abused by so-called state welfare.
Ladies and gentlemen, there was an election not so long ago for the Mayor of Greater Manchester. It was my hope that this guy was elected because Mr. Common Sense, whether he's elected or not though, he's always going to be the people's mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Buckley.
Thank you, Billy, and thank you everybody for coming today. Let's start with some excellent news. The news is we're winning. This is the beginning of the end of what we're trying to achieve here. It's now gone international. All the time, for 2 years now, I've been coming, supporting Billy, coming on these demonstrations. And sometimes there's 12 people, there's more than 12 people today, which is great. But sometimes it feels like we're shouting into the wind and no one can hear us and no one cares and the weather's bad so no one even sees us, what we're doing, what we're talking about. But those days have ended now. And it's down to what? Well, it's down to all of us, first of all, for keeping this issue alive, for making sure those girls and boys were not forgotten about, to making sure that one day we get justice for them, and also to make sure that it stops. Because let's be honest, it hasn't stopped yet. As we're here today, there's children in this country being abused today while we're here. Yeah. It's not like this is historic. We need some justice for the historic cases, but for me, I want it to end so there is no more historic cases. Now, shouting into the wind, no one hears us, but one man made this an international issue, and it was Elon Musk. Yeah. He bought Twitter so many years ago, and I thought to myself at the time, that'll change nothing. One billionaire buying Twitter will change nothing. But him speaking on Twitter about the atrocities in this country has raised a profile of what we've been shouting about for years and decades. Now, this will never go away now. This has to come to an end. Now, let's be honest, this Labour government will not end this. No. So we're going to suffer for the next 2, 3, 4 years until this government goes. We need to concentrate and look at the government that comes after this Labour government. Because whoever is in the Tory party, the Reform party, other parties, will be looking at what we're saying and what we're doing. And we need to make sure for them to get elected that they have to do something about this. It has to be in their manifestos about what they're going to do. We need to make sure we're not palmed off anymore. Because I'll tell you this, we're a laughing stock around the world. Yeah. We've got countries, we've got parliaments in other countries where their politicians are standing up going, have you seen what's going on in the UK? They allow their children to be gang raped. They allow their children to be abused over decades and decades. They allow it, their politicians allow it, some of their politicians are involved in it, and anybody who stands against it and talks against it is demonised. We have foreign countries probably willing to send peacekeepers to our country to keep our country safe and our children safe. How far have we fallen as a nation? This country used to run the biggest empire in the world. We achieved most of the success. We created a modern world. We created most medicines, most inventions. That's what this country did. And now, over the last 40 years, we cannot even stop our children being raped and abused. We've fallen low. And all of us need to take some responsibility for that, because we all could have done more. We all could have shouted louder. We all could have held our politicians to account. And many people didn't. We've tried our best, and look, we could have done more. I could have done more. We all could have done more. But some people did nothing. Now, we have our main politician in Greater Manchester is Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, the King of the North, as the press like to call him. Now, we don't expect miracles from our politicians because it's unfair on them, but there's many things Andy Burnham could have done. Let me tell you one thing I would have done last year if I had been lucky enough to have been voted in as Mayor of Greater Manchester. I would have set a panel up, including people like Roger and Billy and maybe Maggie Oliver. I got a panel of people together to look at every report into grooming and child abuse in Greater Manchester. I would have commissioned a new one. What's the point? I'll tell you what, a new report will say, lessons will be learned, it can't happen today, and people were afraid of being called dirty words. So that's the report. So let's not get any more reports. We want action. I want action. And I got that panel. Cheers, Billy. And I got a panel together to look at every report ever done. And I would have said to that panel, I want the names of every police officer, every council member, staff, anybody, politician, who knew something that was going on, and for police officers who then committed a dereliction of duty. Give me their names. And as the Mayor of Greater Manchester, I also would have been the Police Crime Commissioner. The only person I could sack would have been the Chief Constable. So I'd have said to the Chief Constable, here's a list of names of, in the reports, we can prove dereliction of duty. I want them all sacked. And if he'd not have sacked him, I'd have sacked him, and I would have recruited a new Chief Constable who would have sacked him. Now those individual officers of different ranks would have said, that's unfair. I've got human rights, I've got employment rights, and yes, they have, and they should keep them. And as I said to those officers, we'll see you in court for unfair dismissal. That's where we'll see you. And we may have lost some of the cases, we may have lost all the cases and had to pay him off. I would have taken that, I'd accepted that. Why? Because finally, we'd have got those people in court. We'd have got those people answering for their dereliction of duty, for their incompetence, for them turning a blind eye, for them not caring, and we'd have it out in court. That would have sent a message around the whole UK of the days of you getting away with allowing our children to be raped are over. We don't care where you live, who you work for, we're going to have you in court. Now, if we're going to prove any of them at a higher level, let's prosecute them. I don't care what we do. The Americans got the gangster, not on killing people, he got them on tax avoidance. I don't care how we get them. I just want some people in court, prosecuted, and hopefully some in jail. That's how we stop it. Because at the moment, you can work for the state, you can work for us, because we're the taxpayers, you work for us, and they say, I don't care. There's nothing you can do to me. I work for the council, I work for the police, I work for government. There's nothing you can do. I want that to change. I want the people who work for us to go, I'm afraid of you. Not physical violence, but I'm afraid of you because you pay my wages. And therefore, I'm going to look after you better and I'm going to do my job better. We're not asking for much in this country, are we? We just want our children not to be abused and raped. That isn't much to ask for. And the Mayor can do it, the Mayor can do it tomorrow. All he has to do is to have a backbone. That's all it takes to solve this problem, is a backbone. And one of these days, we'll get a politician in a position of power who will have a backbone. And this problem will end. And then you will see what we're going to do to the people who allowed it to continue. So, keep your chin up. Keep screaming into the wind, because people are beginning to hear it now. Keep tweeting about it, speaking to your family and friends, and don't let this issue die, because that's what they want this to do. They thought we'd all go away, but we've not gone away, we've kept it alive, and now this is an international issue. We will get justice. Justice is coming. A lady said to me before, Nick, I can sense change, and she's right. I can smell change in the air in this country. So many things are going to change over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. It started in Europe, it started in America, we're just behind the curve, but it's going to start here. So chin up, keep fighting, we are the ones that matter, because if we stop, it all ends. Thank you, everything you've done has been appreciated, you can keep going. Thank you.
Well done, Nick. Well said, Nick.
And we're waiting for Billy, I'll sing a song.
Figaro.